Today's AskReddit post. What does sex feel like from the male's perspective? Oh boy, this is gonna be a good one. Let's get started. Imagine if your clit was inserted into a clit-sized vagina that's wet and warm, and you can control the tempo of the thrusts for maximum pleasure. This might be the strangest thing I've written in a while. Laughed out loud at this one, thank you. There is some pleasure with an orgasm, but what I really like about having an orgasm is this feeling of satisfaction that sweeps across my body. It even lasts a little longer than the orgasm itself, and it makes me feel everything is alright. Honestly, that's the best part for me. When one of you rolls off the other and you both just lay there and cuddle contentedly for a while. Sex feels good and all, but that piece afterwards is what really ties me to someone. Totally agree, but would add the intimacy and anticipation of what's to come. Then long slow mutual foreplay beforehand is great. It's a play of 3 parts. A nice warm, wet hug of death. Like a warm apple pie. Suck me beautiful. It's so complicated, to be honest, because it's not just about the feeling. The feeling of it is basically just a nice warm wet feeling for a while, which builds up and up and up, followed by 3/4 seconds of intense pleasure when you finally release and come. But there's more than just the feeling. There's a primal urge behind it, a needing to finish. The feeling and happiness / pleasure / lust that comes from visually seeing and feeling an attractive woman's body, or hearing her voice or moans. There's the emotional side to it of feeling closer / bonding more with them. There's also the dirty / kinky side. The novelty aspect, especially if they do something new, or if it's someone new, and the list goes on, and ultimately all those aspects of intercourse add up to make each experience different. That's why intercourse with one person can totally suck, and secretary with another person can be heaven on earth. So the feeling of intercourse to me is complicated depending on the context of it. This guy ducks. Warm, tingling. No better feeling than that first insertion. Penetration. Amen. The first entry is my favorite part, from a lady perspective. Username does not check out. It's the opposite of doing your taxes. Speak for yourself. Deductions. Credits. Write-offs, so much room for creativity. Personally, I like waiting until the last possible moment to file. It's like financial edging. Damn, all this talk gave me a raging tax on. The moment you enter a particularly wet and naturally drippy pussy, it feels like a warm cape for the most sensitive part on your body. You just want to live in there. If the good Lord made anything better, he kept it for himself. You're asking Reddit. We're honored you're so confident in us, honestly. TBH, on Reddit you've got a lot of really helpful people or really ducked up people. Just gotta hope you get the right niche. Mayo. I haven't been on Reddit long, but I think answers to questions are 40% honest attempts to answer, 40% people who take the subject way too seriously, and 20% #* and ing hysterical. All 30 seconds feels fantastic. No need to brag. 3. Take it or leave it. HMN. Warm. Slippery with just the right texture and drag. You feel like you're pushing into something made for you. We are sensory animals, so we are taking it all in. Usually the highlights. Your face, eyes, your curves, or whatever our favorite fixation is. An overwhelming drive to continue thrusting is automatic. It's dizzying. It's a cacophony of stimulation. And it's over. Lots of trying not to come rather than coming. It's, for me, a battle between immersing myself in something amazing and self-control. Of course you're trying to make it as good for the other person as possible, but sometimes you're just hanging on for dear life. The post-nut brain fog is fully real too. I've had partners think I'm completely disinterested in them after, whereas in reality, I'm struggling to form 2-syllable words. I'll take the brain fog. I hate it when the guy just gets up right away and starts talking, which can and has happened to me. Like, dude, what were we even doing here? I thought our souls just became one in my crotch. A slave to your animalistic hunger, followed by Buddha levels of Zen. Like warm apple pie. Like your brain's been taken over by a mind-controlling parasite urging you to get this thing touched and wet. Then as the moment of climax comes, it's like a good sneeze, and you come back to your senses. You then look around the room at the destruction you've caused and the mess you've made. Like Bruce Banner after he's became the Hulk. Sleepy time then happens. In all honesty, shagging for a guy isn't that great in my opinion. Your brain just tricks you into thinking it's great. Right after intercourse, the last thing in the world I want to do is have intercourse. This is when the mind parasite is gone for half an hour or so. Then it slowly comes back, and we are tricked once more. A trick by nature to make us reproduce. In the moment after copulation, the devil's laughter can be heard. Arthur Schopenhauer. Dude, I use Reddit, how do I know? The most amazing feeling in the world. Only thing better than intercourse is finding you have enough drive for another round. ANDDD, she's up for it too. More pudding and enthusiasm? Sign me up. Like massaging someone you love from the inside. It's wet and warm, and she's doing Kegels, which massages the head of your shaft while you throb and maintain mental/physical control to not bust a huge nut because you want to please her more. Orgasming feels like someone is melting your soul. Much better with foreplay and an emotional connection. But most guys don't seem to know this, which I personally chalk up to masturbation being a bit too easy and focused on the penis and porn. But otherwise, there is a lot. The sensation is generally focused on the one part of the body. The final release doesn't last so long. As a woman, your acknowledgement of emotional connection enhancing the intercourse gives me hope. Thanks. In my case, and it's different for every man, I'm the I prefer having intercourse than coming type of guy. I really like when it's long, when I can focus on the girl's pleasure. Actually, what gives me the most pleasure is when I can share pleasure with her, when I see and feel her body shaking and thrilling from us making out. That's the true poop. Even when I come, I still wanna use my fingers and eat it, lol. My motto is, as long as she wants it, as long as I can ha. But every person is different. Bro, write a fanfic already. I'd read it. Black Mirror episode. One's a guitar solo, the other is a ducking orchestra. It's like whoa wow wow oh oh oh. Such a poet. Ding dang walla walla bing bang. Each position and each way feel different, and it's draining both emotionally and physically, literally and figuratively. Then we need rest. We only get one orgasm. It only lasts for a few seconds and we have a refractory period immediately afterwards. Our brains turn it off after we bust, which is why we typically don't want to cuddle. For some of us, the destination is the only thing that matters. For others, the trip is just as important, and we will take the long way. Physically, it's like pushing a boulder over a hill. Once it's over the top, gravity takes over and it only lasts a few seconds on the way down, and feels uncontrollably good. But we have to put in work to get it up the hill, which feels good, but not as good as letting it roll downhill for those few seconds. +1 for the Sisyphus reference. It feels like acceptance, affection, and approval. The poet of legends has spoken. Like the most important thing in the world until just after you finish. Then it's just shame. Really? I tend to feel like I just wanted life after intercourse. Involuntary nap time for me. I hope whoever is next to me likes snoring. There's really nothing to compare it to since it kinda can't be faked completely. It's warm and the sensation of the skin is close to the feeling of your cheek. Soft and wet. Malleable. That's male/female. Male/male feels quite different. Can someone explain male/male pretty please? I'm guessing he means oral or anal, but women have those too, so IDK about that being strictly male/male. Why are most men here describing masturbation? Sex is amazing. Yeah, a lot of these replies sound like masturbating/guessing what it actually feels like. Why do I click on these threads? I was just thinking the same thing. Imagine if you had a boneless finger in between your legs with a direct connection to the happy part of the brain. The sensation is similar to putting a finger in there, but a million times more sensitive. And as the act continues there's a build-up of pleasure until it releases in a spectacular burst. Then your finger becomes useless and really sensitive for a few minutes before you start it all over. I have 10 boneful fingers and 10 boneful toes. Arousal. Lizard brain takes over. Nearing climax. Quick. Think of baseball. Taxes. Old people. Orgasm. Inadequacy and shame. Thinking of old people makes you orgasm, and don't get me started on taxes. Good. Okay. To take this seriously. For a CI's het male, the first insertion of the erect penis into a wet vagina is wonderful. Obviously there's the physical sensation, but then every position offers a variety of emotions and sensations. Warmth, closeness, power, vulnerability, it's a lot. When a woman surrenders to you, it's a combination of dominance and also being very close. Because unless you're a sociopath, you feel touched by the depth of trust. Yes, there's an extremely visceral pleasure in taking a girl from behind in front of a mirror and telling her to call herself a whore. It's intercorsally powerful. But if you are equals in your relationship, those moments of abandon are strong bonding moments. She trusts you to take her to that edge, and you cherish and respect that trust and never abuse it. Like many things, it's complicated. Also, anal intercourse is amazing. I'm gay, so it's maybe different for us than straight men. Knowing how men feel at a human level and bringing that into yourself in a intercordial way while also being a man creates unique chemistry. I think, when I think of men, I get feelings of protection, warmth, and strength. And I like to give that experience as much as I like to receive it. I'd say that there are also feelings of male camaraderie mixed into all of it. The male to male connection. The feeling of being held by a man. Being able to give that back. And having it all tied to your innate intercordiality is an incredible feeling. Amazing. Boombastic. Really fantastic. Oh no. Slimy, yet satisfying. Coming from a man with a lot of mental health issues, it takes me a lot of time and intimacy to actually enjoy intercourse. Initially I'm all terrified and anxious when I have it with someone new. There's fear of letting my partner down and terrible performance anxiety. Me personally would want it to be less anxious and more carefree sort of thing. I'm taking psychodynamic therapy and hopefully I will be able to get through this. Most of the time I'm just going down my partner and giving him an orgasm. It always feels like an achievement and as if that's what I long desperately. And once it is done, I finish the act. I understand this makes them wonder what is wrong with me. However, I can't describe this feeling which makes me wanna stop and not engage further. At least, I have got the clarity that casual intercourse is not my cup of tea. No matter how desperately I want it, I'm always up for casual maquillage, cuddles, etc. Jesus Christ, what the duck is wrong with you kids today? Ladies, don't listen to these idiots. Sex is amazing. It feels great. There is no post-coital shame and anxiety about what just happened. I swear to Christ there is a resurgence of weird intercordial repression happening in our culture today. Now I learn that most of those books and novels about guys having intercourse were just pure bullpoop, preferably written by a woman. Like how can a guy last for hours or for a whole night? Penis is a sensitive organ. Rub it and the friction will cause it to abrase. The pleasure in intercourse was not in the constant plunging of the cock to the vagina, but with the satisfaction of seeing someone come undone because of you. Some authors just let their characters duck everyone they met, as long as it has a hole. Men actually don't duck just anyone. There are many who focus on the person and the attraction, not just because they have a vagina, unless they are desperate. Besides, men feel lust for a period of time. When I say lust, I'm talking about the drive. The unknown want to have pleasure with someone beyond what their mind really wants. Then after the intercourse, the drive will be gone, and then they'll get back to reality. The loss of momentary controls actually aggravates them. Every emotion all at once. It's tight, warm and wet. Every moan or movement from the woman makes the meat flex. Watching the lips pull back as I pull out is great. Whenever women come we feel the pulse inside. It's great. I'd say it's like sticking your finger in your mouth, but your mouth is touching your finger on all sides. Now imagine that your finger is as sensitive as your clitoris. Then you love your finger in and out of the mouth to make it feel even better, and eventually everything contracts and you pee out some goop that feels better than if you needed to poop real bad and finally got to poop. Well, on one hand, you have come to the wrong place if you're looking for males who have had intercourse. Like sticking your finger in a room temperature pepperoni hot pocket, but your finger is your dick and the hot pocket is still a hot pocket. Or sometimes your finger is your neighbor's dick and the hot pocket is your wife's vagina and you're crying in the bathroom. Thanks for clarifying on the pepperoni part. I've compared it to having your finger wrapped in a warm, wet, silky soft blanket. When your finger slides in and out, the blanket gives it soft hugs and kisses. Most of the answers and top upvoted comments are not relatable at all. As expected of Reddit. Sounds more like how you feel when jerking off than having any kind of intercordial activity happening with a partner. Sex feels great, and there's zero shame or negative feeling after you finish. It just feels good and relaxing. Also, for guys with short orgasms, find out what you really like. You'll have far bigger orgasms with that. When indulging into my biggest kink, I'll spare you the details. I've literally had times where I couldn't speak for a good 10 seconds. It sounds short, but trust me, 10 seconds where you're just there unable to utter a single word is long. And then keep feeling it for another 20 or so, which is far, very, from the few seconds you get from vanilla intercourse. Like the Big Bang. I wish to know that too. I'm a guy. Bro, you actually watched the whole video. I'd give you a high five if I was a human. Make sure to click the like button and subscribe for more great content. See you next time.